It's absurd. Who has sex on their wedding? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Dear Shandy. Welcome back to Dear Shandy, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
How are you today?
Doing great. Just dandy.
We are doing an episode today by popular request. We listen to our Shandies when they like things.
They just want more wedding stuff. Can't get enough.
Yeah, it's almost a little embarrassing, but we're trusting you when you say you like us to talk about us.
Yeah.
Something we struggle with, admittedly.
That's medium embarrassing.
Yeah, it's a lot less embarrassing when people are like, please do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had our wedding story episode come out on December 30th, and we were overwhelmed by the influx of questions, like follow-up questions, like, but what about this? What about this?
Didn't give them enough.
No.
We thought we did. You thought we gave them too much.
Yes, I did, in fact.
You were ashamed.
I was ashamed.
You were ashamed.
Yeah.
Which is usually my job.
Yeah. Well, us together, it's really a power couple of shame right here.
Power shame.
Power shame. But you guys had questions and we're here to answer them. So this is a wedding story part 2/wedding Q&A today. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, let's get going.
Part 2 wedding story. This time it's personal. I don't know why you sound so sick. You should sound more badass.
Okay, so I have it divided up into categories, and I'll just, you know what? It'll be like Jeopardy, okay? You tell me what category you want me to start with. So City Hall.
Oh.
Planning. Ceremony. Reception. Guests. And afterwards / in retrospect.
I will take City Hall for 200.
Okay. City Hall for 200. Who was at our City Hall wedding?
Oh. Who is my friend Arthur
Yes.
from high school, your parents,
Yes.
my mother, your sisters,
Yes.
and our nieces and nephews.
Oh, that's cute that you said our.
Our nieces and nephew at the time.
Yeah. So my older sister has 4 children, but at the time she had 3, and she brought all 3 of them and her husband. That's love right there. They drove down and made a trip out of it. And actually that was a huge factor because another question was, how did we plan for this? Honestly, it was logistics.
Yeah.
Once we decided we wanted to do City Hall, it was just a matter of what date works for so many moving parts and people with lives. And my little sister works for Survivor. She's a producer on the show. And that takes her out of the country for 4 or 5 months out of the year. So there was that. That was also a factor in our actual wedding date. So it's not that glamorous an answer. It was just a lot of logistics and very close family. And Arthur came... Didn't he kind of invite himself?
No, Arthur insisted. He's a good friend.
Yeah.
He said, I have to be there. And he took pictures. He took all the photos.
But what I just have to mention, it's not like he was really invited, because if we were going to start inviting close friends, I would have had some friends come too.
Oh, he wasn't invited.
No.
As a matter of fact, I specifically didn't want to invite anyone because I didn't want this to be a thing.
Yeah.
So Arthur just insisted. He's like, oh, you're getting married. So, I'm definitely coming. I'm coming.
Yeah,
I don't care.
He came
I'm
with
coming.
a camera.
He came with a good camera. He likes taking pictures.
Yeah.
He's good at taking pictures. And he took some good photos.
Yeah, his photos were okay.
Hey, take it easy. You may listen to this. He's not listening to this.
Because I know he's not listening to this, I'm going to be honest with you guys. A phone could take better photos than Arthur took with his fancy camera, but that's not important. That's why you don't see any photos. We would be inserting photos of City Hall right here if Arthur were good at taking photos, but it was sweet. Yeah. He meant well.
Well, the good news is we can shit talk Arthur as much as we want, but even if he did watch any episode of Dear Shandy, which he probably won't, he definitely won't watch this one.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to just diss Arthur? You want to just keep going with this?
And what else
he's a
about?
Good guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
I mean, for the most part.
I think the overriding theme of our City Hall wedding was that we didn't take it super seriously. Like I remember with my whole family, I was like, you guys don't have to come. And my parents, I was like, okay, you guys can come. You're my parents. But then my sisters were like, well, we want to be there. And I was like, you guys, we're going to have a wedding. Like, you don't have to come.
Yeah.
And everyone came.
It was very touching.
It was very touching.
I honestly saw it. And this is a testament to how good our relationship was. Like, I knew we were like within 5-6 months of us being together, I was like, we're married. No one needs to give me a paper. I don't need to have a wedding. I'm done.
Yeah.
This is it.
Uh-huh.
I hope you felt the same way.
I'm just wondering where this is going.
My point is that I saw this City Hall marriage as literally like going to the DMV to get a driver's license. A paperwork thing we had to do.
100%. I could not agree more. And like we said in Wedding Story Part 1, or at least I, at that point, thought that we would have a real wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is probably more real a wedding, but I thought we were going to have a white wedding.
Right.
And so this felt just sort of like a paperwork formality, which in retrospect, I regret looking at it that way. And for anyone considering City Hall, I don't want to say don't do what we did because we had a nice time, but don't do what I did, which is kind of laugh it off and not take it seriously enough. I kind of wish I had put a little more like weight on that day.
Yeah, sure. I think there was an ample amount of weight.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I'd worn like a cute dress or something. That morning, I was like, oh, I'll wear these shorts and these heels. I didn't put much thought into it. I didn't have a little bouquet. Doesn't really matter, no. But I just sort of wish that I'd given it a little more, meaning just to myself.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand.
It was too much of a paperwork day.
Yeah, you really probably thought it was more DMV than I did.
Yes.
Based on how you dressed. Sometimes we were just going to like the corner store.
Oh,
and
I
you
was
wanna
dressed
look good.
less fancy than going out to dinner on not even a fancy night.
Yeah, we're going out to lunch.
Okay.
Yeah, you really look like shit.
And again, I would show you more photos if Arthur did his
Well, he did
the
take
task
a
he
lot.
volunteered for.
You just didn't love all the photos, but he took a few good ones.
Okay, let's keep moving through City Hall. This is not supposed to take so long. Okay, what was the process like? Pretty much you show up and you just
show
wait.
up. I paid. I went to the front desk and she gave me a thing. It took $60 from me.
Okay.
And that was it.
And you pretty much just wait for hours for your turn. The best part about City Hall.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
The people watching.
Amazing.
Okay, New York City City Hall weddings. The people watching was out of control.
It was
a highlight.
It was so out of control that I was upset that I had to think about other people who came to see our marriage and had to deal with like marriage stuff for us to not just sit with popcorn and watch what was going on.
Yeah, it was great. It was a good time.
You should go. As a matter of fact, and I think people do this.
Mm-hmm.
You should just go to City Hall where they do the marriages and just take a seat and watch.
Yeah, bring a snack.
It's as good a day as you're gonna have. It's better than going ice skating
and
or
I don't
seeing
mean
a
that
movie.
I hope that doesn't sound derogatory because sometimes people watching can sound like making fun. I mean, like it's sweet. Like there are you see all these like couples that sometimes are like
magnificent.
They make sense to you, and other times you're like, how does that work? And sometimes you're like, is that a green card wedding? Which technically ours was. And you'll see ladies dressed up in cute little white dresses with little bouquets.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And then some of them are like wearing sweats. Like it's just amazing.
And they're most of them recognize the kind of silliness of what's happening.
Yes.
And kind of well, it's both serious and kind of not serious.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like all the emotion and love of two people spending a life together.
Yeah.
And then the silliness of like going to like an office to get some paper sign that says that you're together.
Totally.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great stuff.
Yeah. That's
just
actually...
make believe you're there for some official business and no one will give you any trouble.
Did anyone give us a hard time for marrying at City Hall instead of a fancy wedding initially? No. We got pretty lucky on that front. Yeah. We have to remember that at that point we did think we would have a wedding, which we did end up having, but the journey of not being sure about the wedding happened after City Hall.
Yeah.
So at this point, your mom, my parents, everyone was like, okay, well, it's like a placeholder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you pick the next category: planning, ceremony, reception, guests, or afterwards / in retrospect.
I'm going to take ceremony for 800.
Okay. Ceremony 800. Thoughts on first look versus waiting till the aisle?
You don't have to make a fuss about the first look. It's a waste of energy. It's a letdown. It's not a big deal. It's a girl with a wedding dress on.
So yeah, clearly we did not wait till the aisle. I think our photos and wedding video prove that.
Yeah. No, not necessary.
No disrespect to anyone who wants to do that. Our wedding was a lot more casual than that.
And my lesson, not that I learned a lesson, we nailed it, I thought. I was very happy with how everything went. But if I did learn a lesson, which I didn't, I can teach a lesson because we did this, is that you should be very relaxed about the wedding. Don't get too uptight about how the order of things or when people should see stuff. Just keep it relaxed.
Yeah, I mean, it was, yeah. I think I was a little less relaxed than you. Until the day of, there is a sort of zen that comes over you on your wedding day.
Well, it's like the same thing when you're put in a life or death situation. It's like a wedding is basically your body's like, okay, this is it. We may die today. Like that's what your body doesn't know. It's like a billion years of evolution. Your tiny little portion of your brain that actually worries and stresses about things. Your body has no idea. They are like, something's going to happen today where we may die.
Uh-huh.
And it goes into that mode. It's survival mode.
Okay, so that brings me to the next question. Did either of you have last minute jitters or cold feet?
Cold feet.
No, not for me. God, I feel like we're giving boring answers. You guys asked for this. I did not. I mean, we were already married. We had thought about having this wedding day for 2.5 years. City Hall, I guess that would be the closer one is City Hall. But even that, I was just like, oh, let's just get this over with.
No. I honestly, like, the way I saw the wedding was I woke up and I remember I had a lot of work to do that day and I was stressed.
Oh, yeah, because it was a Friday.
It was a Friday. It was a weekday. And I remember thinking like the wedding was just another thing in my to-do list. Like I didn't even, no, not to.
This bride is offended.
No. You know it.
I don't care.
You know what I mean, though.
I do know.
Like it was a great thing. It was like a thing, like a wonderful, magnificent, life-changing thing. But it was never like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm getting married today. It was literally like, I have to do this work. I have to make these calls. Then I have to get to this place. I have to get married. And then I have to be done with it.
I think people might be interested to hear man's perspective, though. You've said before that you were terrified about getting married. This was something that you dreaded your whole life. So either leading up to the wedding or leading up to City Hall, was there ever a moment?
No, that's what my point with this long-winded explanation of how this was just a to-do item on my list.
Yeah.
Is that there was the cold feet was it's like saying I had cold feet to go grocery shopping. Like it wasn't a thing I thought of being a cold-footed operation in any way. Like I was just like so 100% certain about this that I almost put too little weight on the wedding. Yeah. It was just another thing I had to do that day.
I kind of agree with you. Do you have any regrets over that? Like not putting enough weight on it?
If I put more, I would have freaked out and choked up. I wouldn't be able to read my vows.
So
I was nervous as it was. It was very nerve-wracking. I don't like being in front of that many people. Like it's expected. I do things or perform. It was very nerve-wracking.
So do you think there was an element of us not being able to get cold feet because we never took our wedding, I don't want to say seriously enough, but we almost didn't give it the gravity that I think a lot of people do give it?
No. This is what I think.
I think we had a lot more of that around the engagement.
I believe, and this is going to be a controversial statement.
Okay.
I think the more gravity that's put on the wedding, the less strong the bond. I think if you focus all the energy on this is the biggest day, this is so important, this has to be
the most important day of my life. Yeah.
Then there's a crack. There's something wrong.
No, I agree with you. There's an element to that reminds me of those people who on Instagram are constantly talking about how great their relationship is and constantly putting out.
And then next thing you know, there's
like,
there's an Instagram where they're like, today is a very sad day.
Yeah. We hope you respect our privacy as we navigate this difficult time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that sounds judgmental because I do think a lot of this is cultural. Like, how are you raised? Are you raised thinking that your big white wedding is your day, the most important day of your life, which we talked about in part 1? Neither of us felt that way. And I think that's reflected in the lead up and the gravity we put on it, and therefore the likelihood of cold feet.
Yes, there was no potential for cold feet because the weight we put on the wedding was just like a party. It was the same stress and weight that I experienced with this wedding was no different than if you and me decided for whatever reason to throw some huge party.
Yeah.
And spend a lot of money on it.
Yeah. The money was really, I think, a factor because look, had this whole wedding been paid for us, that way we'd have even less gravity put on it, honestly. I think for me, a lot of the stress was just hoping things went off without a hitch.
I wanted to get my money's worth.
I wanted
to get a good value.
We both wanted to get a good value. That says so much about us. It's so true. I 100% was like, this is costing so much that a lot of the weight put on it was like,
Oh, it was all value.
Is the fish as good as it was when we tasted it?
Yeah.
You know, are those florals exactly what I asked for? Does it seem like X thousands of dollars worth of flowers? Like, I can't help myself. I'm a frugal person. And I was like, is this a good value? God, that's so unromantic.
What else? If you know that you have a good relationship and you're not worried about this being a sham wedding, what else are you going to worry about? You just dropped a lot of cash on a party.
Yeah.
What if the party sucks?
Yeah.
What the hell did you spend that money for?
Legitimate fear. Well, Andy, we are on the road again.
On the road again. But I got no cozy earth sheets in my bed.
Exactly. As lovely as Miami is, it's not quite the same when we crawl into bed and we have average Airbnb sheets and not our delightful, luxurious, cooling cozy earth sheets that we have at home. And in case you are new around here, cozy earth sheets are made from viscose from bamboo, which makes them super, 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 super soft and also more sustainable.
Yep.
And cooling. They've been so great for your night's wedding.
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm not ashamed.
TMI.
Not too proud.
And also, what are you wearing on your legs right now, Andy?
I am wearing the same pants that I wear literally every day, my Cozy Earth sweats, which are delightful.
Yeah.
Just delightful. And by the way, and you can vouch for this. I've literally worn these every day for what, like
months.
3 months, 4 months?
Yeah.
And look at them. Brand new. No pilling, no signs of wear. I mean, what are they doing there? Bamboo. Where has this been all my life?
Yeah, bamboo's really magnificent.
Magnificent. What a magnificent plant.
It grows really quickly and easily, and it's super, super hard, or it can be super, super soft.
And if it weren't for bamboo, there'd be no pandas. None. Not a single panda on Earth.
Is
That's
that
all
true?
they eat. They only eat bamboo.
Really?
And some other stuff, but mainly bamboo.
Also, always worth mentioning that Cozy Earth sheets have been on Oprah's most favorite things list for multiple years in a row now.
No big deal.
Yeah, she knows what she's talking about.
She has to.
And she cannot be bought.
Nope.
Like, let's think about that for a second.
Yeah.
When Oprah recommends a book, we buy that book.
Yeah.
She's recommending bed sheets. You're not going to buy the bed sheets?
Yeah. It's like when Elon Musk tells me to buy a pant. I'm like, well, yeah, I should probably look into that pant. So our audience can save 35% on Cozy Earth, but hurry, this offer ends soon.
Don't wait. Go to cozyearth.com and enter our code Shandy to save 35%.
That's cozyearth.com, promo code Shandy.
Cozyearth.com. Okay, so that's it for ceremony. Not too many in that category, Andy.
Let's go.
Planning, reception, guests, and afterwards / in retrospect.
I'm going to go with guests for 1,000.
Ooh, going big. Okay, guests for 1,000. Advice on plus ones. Do you have a hard rule on how long they've been dating? And what about kids? We did have a hard rule. Not on how long they'd been dating, but their status. So our big rule, and actually this caused a little friction. I did not expect this rule to be as much of a lightning rod in our entire guest list experience as it was. So our rule, we had heard this somewhere else and we loved it because we did not want to look out on our wedding day and not recognize 50% of the people there. So our big rule was married, engaged, or living together.
Yeah.
So regardless of how long you've been together, if you're married, engaged, living together, that earns you a plus one.
Yep.
And this was not easy.
Yeah. People
were not cool with this. I was actually shocked.
Yeah. People wanted to come with somebody. They didn't want to be alone at the wedding. And I get that. I get it, but it's like you're being invited to this special day.
I've been to countless weddings alone.
It's
like
our day.
Yeah. Look. Okay. This is a good example. So I have a friend who I'm still friends with. He's a lovely guy. And I think he went about this right. He texted me and was like, hey, I just want to ask, I'm dating this girl. I'm totally in love with her. We're moving in a couple of months. She's the one, blah, blah, blah. Like, he just made such a strong case. And he didn't say this, but I also was aware that he didn't know too many people there. He pretty much was like, is there any way she could come? Plus, he was out of town. This is important.
Yeah.
And so because he was out of town, and he was just so nice about it, he took the time to send me a text. He wasn't presumptuous about it. He didn't act with entitlement, which is a big peeve of mine.
Yeah.
It kind of irks me if you take an invite that's just to you and write back like +1 on the RSVP with a pen. I think that's a little rude. Like everyone has each other's phone numbers. You can send a text. Anyway, it was so personal, and he made a point of reaching out, and I was like, you know what? That's great. I can't wait to meet her. She sounds lovely. And she came, they had a great time. Guess what? They're not together anymore. They broke up within a year after that wedding. Do I regret it? No, because he had a great time with the girl he loved at the time. But it does go to show that for the most part, when you apply that rule, when I think about all the people that rule applied to, they're all still together.
Yeah.
They're people that will continue more likely than not to be in our lives.
Look, let's face it. If you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, there's a very good chance you're not going to have that boyfriend or girlfriend within the next 2 years. That's what the averages suggest.
Yes.
With an engagement or marriage, it's significantly lower percentage.
I know everyone has a different opinion on this, and a lot of it does come down to how big a wedding you want to have. We were really hell-bent on having it around the 100 mark. To each their own. I have no judgment. If you want to let everyone bring a +1, not only do I commend you, but that's very generous of you. I applaud your generosity. But that really is a major cost, and it adds up really fast. And for me, I personally loved that I could look at on our wedding day and know who 85% of the people were.
Yeah, I agree.
That's not even 100%.
It's a big deal.
Already with that rule, I still didn't know a ton of people.
There was a bunch of people. I was like,
yeah.
What are you invited? I don't know who you are. It's weird. I don't like it.
Plus,
I don't care if they want to share. They're not, you know what? It's my day. It's my day. My day. It's not your day. I don't care who you're with.
Groomzilla over here.
Groomzilla. But also kids, I think that close family kids, definitely.
Yeah.
But like friends, kids, no. Unless you have 200 people at your wedding, then it's fine.
We did not have a kid's wedding. The only kids at our wedding were our nieces and nephew. Yeah. That's it. I think that's to each their own. For us, that's what we did. To be honest, the people who had kids, I think for the most part, were happy to have made arrangements because it was their night off of looking after their kids. So that's a blip. Like I don't even remember the kids thing. Like that was such a non-issue. Yeah. The +1s thing, the +1s rule was shockingly controversial.
Yeah. My closing thought on that is that you should have a very, very, very high percentage of people at that wedding that you know. That's it. That's the whole purpose of it. You should feel a very warm circle.
Yeah. I don't want to say should. Like you do what feels right. And if what feels right is letting people, especially people who don't know many people there, I think I had a bit more leniency with people who didn't know other people.
Yeah.
But when a friend knows half a dozen people there and they've been dating a guy for a month, like I don't want to be a dick. I don't want that person at our wedding.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
9 times out of 10, more than 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be right. All right, guests for, let's do 800. Did you take it personally if someone didn't come to your wedding?
Not at all.
No, me neither.
We needed people to not come to our wedding.
It's so true. We mentioned in part 1 that we had been told that 30% of your invites will RSVP now.
But by the way, that math worked out almost perfectly.
Eerily perfectly.
Yeah, we actually did it based on hoping that math would work out.
Yes. We invited more than we wanted to have come.
By 30%.
Exactly by 30%.
And it was incredible. Who told you that?
I forget, but they
Some
were
wedding
right.
website or something?
No, I think it was someone who had gotten married. An individual, yes.
A professional getting married.
Yeah. I do think, a lot of our perspectives are naturally going to tie into the fact that our wedding happened 2.5 years after we actually got legally married. And we did not put too much weight on the whole thing. So when someone said no, I really wasn't taking it super personally. I can't think of a single person who said no that I felt that way about. I had one person who said no, and I was kind of like,
And it wasn't a great excuse. It was kind of like, oh, I'm busy, I'm doing this and that. And I was like, oh, you're just not that into
Oh yeah. And did
I
you
was a
feel
little annoyed?
okay?
But it was fine. Put it this way, it was a person who I thought might do that. So it was far less upsetting than it would have been. I was just like, oh yeah, that was the odds on response.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I can think of one friend who kind of like dragged it out. Like she was like, oh yeah, I think we're going to make it work. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And to be fair, they had kids. And so there was that, they had to get sitters, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And
Deal.
when she said no, and this was a high school friend, I was a little like, oh, like she kind of represented a time in my life, I guess. And that time wasn't represented by anyone else at the wedding. And so kind of just from a selfish perspective, I was like, oh, I really would have loved to have had her there just like for a feeling of completion. But look, was I really going to be able to bond with her at our wedding the way I could if I go home to Ottawa and see her? No. So yes, I would say it's like a fleeting like, oh, but I wouldn't say we got offended.
To be honest with you, there were actually, there was one in particular, but there was one or two invites that I made gambling, hoping that they would say no.
Yeah. And
they did. I won. I was like, the cost of me getting grief for not inviting this person outweighs the potential risk of them actually coming. But the risk of them actually coming is less than the risk of them coming. Therefore, the calculus adds up to invite. They're going to get that. I know that was a lot. But everyone's going to get what I said.
They know what you mean.
They can rewind.
I wish I could rewind right now because I'm a little lost, but I think I know what you mean.
One day you'll rewind.
Okay, so moving on.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm doing that as though
it's not Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, it's not. You're
Wrong game show.
Yeah, you're mixing game shows. Stick with Jeopardy. Jeopardy is just Alex Trebek. May he rest in peace.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no more Alex
Canadian.
Trebek. I don't even know who it is now. It's going to keep switching it.
Alex Trebek, he was an icon.
He was great.
Okay, planning, reception, and afterwards / in retrospect.
I'm going to take reception for 200.
Okay, reception for 200. What was our first dance song? Did we do a choreographed dance? And how did we decide on the song?
Our first song was
You're Just Too Good to Be True.
Can't Take My Eyes Off of You.
Otherwise known as the most generic first dance song of all time.
But I have a reason why I did it. And maybe this in itself is a generic reason. But one of my favorite movies is Deer Hunter. Okay. Which is a very sad and dark movie, but it's a very good movie. Okay. Bombed at the box office. Did very poorly. Okay. Shouldn't have. Got Robert De Niro, Christopher Walken, Meryl Streep.
So it's underrated.
Michael Cimino directed. It's a very serious movie. Oh, no. It didn't bomb. Michael Cimino's next movie bombed. I completely screwed this story up. Deer Hunter did fine. Okay. But Deer Hunter's a great movie. And in that movie, and I saw this movie when I was a little kid, and it resonated with me. It really impacted me. It was just like everyone was so cool. And it was such a great movie. So two of the main characters get married in one of the early scenes in the movie. And the song that they play when they come out is Can't Take My Eyes Off of You. Okay. And I said to myself, like after I saw the movie, I was like, when I get married, that's my song.
Oh, that's cute.
And I followed through.
I actually didn't know that.
I thought I told you that.
No, I thought we chose it because we sort of sang it to each other all the time.
You know, it sort of coincided with us seeing Jersey Boys as well. Yeah. So it may have overtaken my original reason for having that song. Such a not unique
first dance song.
It's not.
It's not at all. But you know what?
I have a unique reason for it. Yes. I agree it's not unique, but I have a unique reason.
Okay. For me, my Can't Take My Eyes Off of You movie reference is 10 Things I Hate About You. People of my generation will understand. It's a very iconic scene with Heath Ledger. And yeah, it's a beautiful song. Is it the most unique ever? No. But did we love it? Yes. Yeah. And did we do a choreographed dance?
Do we look like choreographed dance people? Do I look like someone who can dance at all? Is the question.
Actually, Andy can dance.
I mean, if my life depends on it, I can dance. Or if I'm really drunk.
Did we even consider this?
No. A choreographed dance I never considered. As a matter of fact, I didn't even want to practice just dancing at all because you know me, I have to do everything improv. I can't practice anything.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of our decision making when it came to that, and the fact that we didn't practice a dance, we didn't even practice in the living room like anything.
No, I don't think I ever had a slow, like ballroomy dance with you ever before.
No. I think a lot of it comes down to what we said in part one, which is that we both have a lot of shame and don't like being the center of attention.
Yeah.
And we were really hung up on the sort of self-indulgence of a wedding. And I don't know why we thought it would be better to wing it for our guests than to do a choreographed dance. But there was something that felt kind of performative about preparing a dance and doing it. I'm not saying if you do that, that's bad. I actually think they can be really beautiful. But for us, we just wanted to take off all pressure that we could.
But again, going with the theme of casual. Like, don't put too much pressure on anything. Don't make everything too exact.
Yeah.
Just like relax.
We just sort of
slow
danced and spun me around. And it was sort of silly
nice.
And we had fun. There was a lot of laughter. And Andy can play it up under pressure.
Yeah, I can ham it up for I've got like 90 seconds. I can ham it up. After 90 seconds, I start feeling shame. It kicks in and slowly builds.
You become too aware of all the eyeballs.
Just run and hide somewhere.
And then we had people join us.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was honestly, to be perfectly honest with you, one of my biggest fears about a wedding was that initial dance. I always felt like I was like, oh God, I got to dance in front of a bunch of people. It's very weird.
Oh.
Because I'm not like a dancey guy.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought it went excellently. I thought it was perfect. We danced fine. It was a decent dancing. Yeah. And then everyone jumped in at the right exact time. I was very pleased with that.
Were you at all relieved that I never brought it up with the idea of a choreographed dance?
I wasn't relieved. It just didn't seem like something you would want.
Yeah.
You
know me well. You know me and my heavy shame well.
Yes. We share good amounts of shame. It works.
The shame plays into so many of our wedding decisions.
Yeah. Shame should play into almost every decision you ever make. Shame shame is what makes the world stay peaceful.
There's real truth in that.
Yeah. Shame is the most powerful emotion that a human can experience, because what it does is it checks you from doing things that are disgusting.
Okay, that brings me to the next reception question. Did we drink, and were we worried or mindful about getting too drunk?
No. First of all, the adrenaline will burn off all the alcohol you're drinking. So assuming...
Wait, does that actually happen like on a chemical
For me,
level?
I drank enough to be in the hospital that night. And I was never incoherent. I was having conversations. I was sharp as a whip the whole night. I remember everything.
Yeah. Wait, were you trying to get your money's worth?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I got open. I paid $800,000 for this open bar. I might as well get some value. No, I will say that if I had to put a math equation on it, I would say that the wedding doubles your capacity.
Tolerance?
Yeah. So
capacity.
So if you're a 2-drink person, you can get away with 4 drinks at the wedding, which your adrenaline's burning the alcohol so fast. I could feel it. I could literally feel the alcohol like getting in and it's like settling in. It's like, oh yeah. And it's like, whoa. Okay. It was like, out of here. Get out. No alcohol. We got to focus.
I kind of know what you mean. I sort of feel like all the eyeballs on you, all the conversations that you're constantly having with people that you're like, who is this like these friends of my parents that I knew when I was a child. Like there's all these relationships that are like flashing before your eyes constantly.
Yeah.
And you're acutely aware of just the fact that you're in my case, wearing a white gown and everyone's kind of watching you everywhere you go. So even if I had too much to drink, which I didn't because I'm very...
You're a lady.
Well,
You're careful.
I just didn't want to be sloppy.
I agree.
Did I really test it by having another drink? No.
No, of course not. You did the right thing. I probably pushed it a little bit.
But I never would have been able to tell. That's the honest to God truth.
I'm a great drunk.
You are a good drunk. And when you gave a speech, which you did late in the evening with a microphone, it was great. It was hilarious.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think anyone, I would not have known. I think that's a matter of just knowing your own limit, which is a not fun answer.
You got to know your limit. But also, as I mentioned earlier, I think you're in full survival mode on your wedding day. So your body, it's like the same thing. Like for instance, like let's say you're at a bar, you're getting drunk with your friends, you walk outside to get some fresh air and a guy pulls a gun on you. Like you're instantly sober.
Yeah.
You're instantly sober. Mm-hmm. Or like a car almost hits you. It's like basically at a wedding, you have a guy pulling a gun on you and a car almost hitting you the whole time.
The reason that's so funny is because it's so true. Obviously less panic inducing, but for the most part, I completely agree. Like everywhere you turn, people are like, oh, congratulations. And you're like, thank you, Mark and Lanny. Like I remember, like you're just like,
yeah, your metabolism is like, look, we've got one day to clean out this alcohol faster than usual. We can do it. We'll pay for it tomorrow. Yeah. But right now, we don't have time for all this alcohol.
Your brain is working so fast and so hard. It just blows through that booze, I guess.
It shows you that where there's a will, there's a way. And you can just drink as much as you want as long as you're constantly terrified. That's the takeaway.
Best advice ever. Yes. All right. Next question. When attending weddings over the years, I've noticed that many times there are a lot of people who don't attend the ceremony and only show up for the reception. To me, this seems like a very rude thing to do. The equivalent of telling the couple that you don't care about seeing them get married, but you'll partake in the free food and drinks. Is this an old-fashioned viewpoint? Did this happen at your wedding?
I think the opposite happened. Didn't someone?
No, one of each, actually. So we had two guests. They were both your friends.
Yeah, of course.
One friend of yours came to only the ceremony and then left.
But he's also the biggest spaz in the world. Yeah, like he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah. He didn't put the pieces together there. No. But you had another friend show up only for the reception. But to be fair, he was working late. It was a Friday.
No, I give him full. He's a lawyer, and he had a case that was had a big, and he's a good guy. He's one of the best guys I know.
Yeah,
no harm there.
That's the only person I can think of who did that. But I've got to say, if more than a handful of people did that, I would be kind of insulted, and maybe that does make me old-fashioned.
No, I would be insulted too. Like that's the whole point. The rest is just look.
You earn the rest by doing that. Yeah, you earn the party and the free drinks and food by sitting through.
You've got to sit through and
long
suffer.
Ceremony.
You've got to suffer. You got to sit there and suffer the whole time. Then you get rewarded with food and drink and dancing.
And I mean, look, I was very conscious of not having too long a ceremony. Ours was only half an hour, like we said in part one.
We took such mercy. I honestly feel like it was time for payback. I was like, I'm going to show you for making me sit through those ceremonies. But we gave them, we had a beautiful Kate sang that beautiful song.
Yes.
Delightful. Mm-hmm. That was, she's a professional. I mean, that was an amazing song.
Yeah, she was incredible.
And we did nice, cute, funny vows. And the ceremony was short as hell.
What you're saying is they didn't have to pay a lot to earn the free food.
It was basically a free ride. There's a loophole.
So to the person who asked this question, I'm purposely keeping everything anonymous here. I agree with you. Maybe that makes me old-fashioned. Look, the entire idea of a wedding is old-fashioned, so I feel okay saying this. I think it is a little rude. Without like a panicked text being like, I'm stuck at work. I'm so sorry. I hope to see the footage later. I'll see you at the reception.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sticking with my Wheel of Fortune. For no good reason.
This makes no sense.
It's for consistency.
Okay, got it. Right, stick with mistakes consistently.
Planning and afterwards / in retrospect.
I'm going to take planning. Is this a daily double? Well, I'm going to bet everything on this one.
Ooh.
Yeah. This doesn't make sense anymore. I don't think. None of this Jeopardy thing doesn't make sense because I know the answers. I know the answers. The whole format is this whole joke doesn't make any sense.
I just want. You're making a good point, but I just want to be consistent from beginning to end.
Fine. So it's a daily double.
Okay.
I'm going to bet everything on this.
On planning.
Betting everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I've won at this point. Let's see. I think I've won like $4,500. Okay. I'm going to bet it all.
You know what? I'm going to give you one that you don't necessarily know the answer to because of your cockiness.
Well, it is a daily double. Although, interestingly, which I never, ever approved of in Jeopardy. Jeopardy is one of the few game shows where everything is skill-based. It's all skill. Yeah. There's nothing where it's just pure.
Even right down to hitting the buzzer?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. It's reflexes, it's mental acuity, it's knowledge, it's general knowledge. It's the most skill-based game show. It's tied for something in the old days. I don't know. Quiz show. I don't know. Maybe there was something similar. But there's nothing more skill-based as a game show than Jeopardy.
Okay.
But there's one thing that's not skill-based, and I don't like it. Anyway, I'm not asking you.
Are you talking about the fact that everything has to be asked like a question?
No, I'm not asking you. This is not a thing where I want you to guess. Don't worry about it. It's the daily double. The daily double is total. It's not fair. It's not skill-based at all because the daily double can land on a $200 question or it can land on $1,000. Like when someone gets a daily double on a $1,000 question, that's bullshit. Like you're basically saying, oh, here's the hardest question in the category, and I'm giving you the option of betting all your money on it, or vice versa. Here's the easiest question in the category, and you can bet all your money. It's not fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's the one luck-based element.
Yeah, but I would prefer purity.
It's a bit of a game of confidence at that point. Like how confident are you that you know the answer and how much are you willing to bet?
I get it, but if it's a $200 question and it's a daily double, it's not fair to the person who got the daily double to 1,000, bet everything and lost because that was way harder than the $200.
Well, that person who lost should have known that they weren't confident enough in their answer.
So maybe I'm starting to agree with you on this one. Maybe the skill element is knowing to control your impulses.
It's knowing thyself.
Self-control.
Yes.
When you get a daily double on 1,000, you know what you do? You know what I do on a $1,000 daily double? I bet nothing.
Ooh.
Nothing.
Unless you're 100% sure.
But you can't be 100% sure because you don't know the question.
Oh, yeah.
I've been having this conversation with myself, apparently.
Anyway, what it is, it's a commentary on greed.
Agreed. Okay. No.
Okay, so I'm purposely going to ask you a question that I do not think you'll know the answer to for planning. How did you pick your photographer? Do 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 do. Do 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 boom boom. All right, Andy.
I'm going to say that it was somebody who reached out to you on Instagram because they were a fan of The Bachelor. Oh, sorry. What is someone who reached out to you on Instagram because they were a fan of The Bachelor?
Do I seem like someone who would pick her wedding photographer because someone DM'd me on Instagram saying they were a fan of The Bachelor?
Excuse me. This is not the way they do it on the game show. They don't mock you for having the wrong answer. What you're supposed to say is, oh, I'm sorry. That is incorrect. But how much did you wager? I wagered everything.
Oh, really?
I bet all my money.
Oh.
$4,500.
I'm sorry, Mr. Levine. That leaves you at zero.
By the way, not to digress again, but my favorite thing of any game show in the world is the look on the face of the person who bet everything in Final Jeopardy and ends up with zero.
It says something about your personality and you are sick.
I'm sick. But if next time you watch Jeopardy, just trust me. Look at the face. Just freeze frame it and just zoom in. It's as good an expression as everything. It's basically the expression of every swear word they've ever known in their life being yelled at full volume while at the same time realizing they have to maintain composure with their national TV.
It's the ultimate.
It's great.
It's the ultimate in Schadenfreude.
No.
Yes.
Why would I want
No, you're deriving joy from their misfortune.
No, I'm deriving. It's not exactly that. I'm not happy that they had misfortune. I'm happy that I'm able to see the face of such a unique experience in life. It's really delightful. You're right. It's Schadenfreude.
Okay, so
I also feel bad for them. So it's sort of Schadenfreude with an asterisk.
I feel more bad for them than I do derive joy from their sad expression.
But there is some good expressions. You know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about.
They're like...
It's so true because they don't want to give away. They're not like, they're like...
Yeah, the actual expression that should happen if you bet everything on Final Jeopardy
is like...
And you're like, this is, go ahead, tell me. Tell me that I'm wrong.
Ooh, I'm sorry, Mr. Levine.
I hate this show.
And all of that is like compressed into one tight.
Yeah, that's just it. This is what it is.
It's the straight line mouth emoji. Okay.
And then that person's looking to their right, like waiting for the next person to be like, I hope they got it wrong too.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But
And that they also bet everything.
Not even to win, just to spite them. They just want other people to suffer with them.
Well, because it's less embarrassing if everyone got it wrong and also lost everything.
Of course. It's human nature. You
Yeah.
can't fault them.
Oh, no. That is the most relatable part.
I would even say they're even in more pain knowing that the person to their right didn't get it wrong, that they got it wrong. Even though it's not going to make a difference in the amount of money they go home with.
So true.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to answer the photography question.
Okay.
Which was asked by a wedding photographer, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
But for me, I actually was quite anal about the photography.
Yeah, I know you're
I was
very
really
careful about this
I turned down over a dozen wedding photographers. As we mentioned in part 1, we did work with a PR company to trade Instagram posts and press and Us Weekly and all that stuff for discounts. And so the PR company sent photographer after photographer after photographer after photographer to me. And I was like, nope. I was really looking for a certain aesthetic. And that aesthetic is true candidness, candidness, because like a candid photo. I wanted it to feel
candiosity.
I wanted it to feel dynamic and like for a moment to be captured, not for a moment to have been created for the photo.
Mm-hmm.
And that was actually way harder to find than I thought it would be. Even though,
Oh, now I remember. Yes, you were all about the candid.
Yes.
I remember that.
Because anyone can get a pretty couple together and put a nice like white filter on it and like, that usual wedding photography filter that all photos have.
Yeah.
And the girl looks beautiful in her gown and the man looks handsome and they're happy.
Yeah, but you could tell that there's hatred there. There's hatred. It's too perfect.
Well, it says something that some of my favorite photos from our session together were the ones that were not planned. Like we hardly knew were even being taken. It was like,
Any posed photo never has the life that a candid does. Never. It's never been done in history.
And that was something I sought. And it also, I have to talk about that white filter look too. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. There's a sort of wedding photo filter. It's like really like bright and it has like pale blues and pale pinks. And it just looks very like Instagram wedding-y, and I didn't want that. I wanted a dark element to our wedding, which is why I chose black candles. We had a lot of dark elements, even in our florals. I really wanted contrast, even in the photos. I wanted that element of just realness, of grit, like grit. And when I saw Love Me Do's photography, and our photographer was Karina Romano, who I'm obsessed with.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, ironically, she did turn out to be a Bachelor fan.
I'm going to speak to the management of Jeopardy about this.
I guess if I had to distill it all down to one adjective, it would be moody. I was looking for photography.
Film noir.
Yeah, that had a moody element. And that really played into a lot of my style, style choices throughout the wedding.
Don't give me that credit.
Okay, Andy.
I approved of it. You
did.
After the fact.
I showed you. I was like, this is who our wedding photographers are going to be. And you were like, looks good.
Yeah. A lot of thumbs up.
God, wasn't it nice to have all these decisions made for you? It was delightful. And so capably.
It was amazing. God, I knew it.
Jealous.
I knew it. When it comes to aesthetics, I honestly think you're unbeatable. I don't think anyone can beat you.
Thanks,
they can equal
husband.
you. They could be different than you.
Oh.
But no one could beat you with aesthetics.
I mean,
no one.
I know what I like.
Yeah, but that's not it's not what you like. You just happen to like what's supposed to be liked. I mean, I'm giving you credit.
That's sweet. Thank you.
Perfect aesthetics.
Thank you,
husband.
husband.
With anything I need to do. It's amazing. Anything I want. I just ask you, and it's like an aesthetic machine. It's just like, I'm like, oh, I need a
jacket.
A drape. Here you go. Put it in the machine. It's like, do. I go, oh, red drapes. Okay. Red, of course. Like I'm going to get red drapes. What do you get red drapes for? What am I, opening a cinema in our, what am I talking about? Just give me the next question.
So Andy, I'm a big proponent of therapy. Mm-hmm. I believe in it wholeheartedly. And I just think there's nothing better than having someone you trust and who is licensed and qualified to talk to. I really look forward to therapy.
Yeah, you like a good therapy.
Oh, I mean, I get so excited, don't I?
Yeah.
I'm like, I have therapy. I'm so excited to talk about my feelings. And that's why I'm such a big fan of Talkspace. So Talkspace is a great platform that provides all sorts of therapy, whether it be couples therapy or individual therapy, teen therapy, and also psychiatry.
And I think it's important when you have a problem in your relationship, oftentimes you're just not equipped to deal with it.
No.
And it's nothing to be ashamed of.
No, especially when you end up having the same like arguments and fights over and over again. You don't know how to solve it. And they have messaging options and live video chat options. So there's a lot of flexibility there. Also, Talkspace has encryption and added security features so that all of your conversations are secure. Always important, worth mentioning. Also, they have over 60,000 5-star reviews.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wish we had 60,000 5-star reviews. And they also accept insurance.
Love that.
So join Talkspace today and start the journey to happier and healthier relationships.
Just visit Talkspace.com. That's TALKSPACE.com to get $100 off your first month when you enter promo code Shandy at sign up.
That's $100 off at Talkspace.com, promo code Shandy.
Planning for 200, Andy.
Yeah.
Tell us about your wedding party. How did you pick bridesmaids and groomsmen?
I had a fairly clear sense of who my most meaningful friends were.
Your core circle. Yeah.
There was a couple of people like near it, but
there was one actually. Actually, I feel like sorry, not to rain on your parade here, but I think that the way I chose actually affected how you chose because one thing I was really hell bent on is us having the same number of groomsmen and bridesmaids, which in retrospect didn't matter. I don't know why I cared so much. I just liked
it does matter.
I liked the symmetry. I can't help it.
Well, every person's got to walk out with a person.
Yeah, and all the photos, I liked that it was us, and then we had four on each side.
No, that's not trivial. I think there should be an equal number of brides.
Yeah, but it's not. It shouldn't be a deciding factor in who you choose or don't choose to be in your wedding party.
It shouldn't, but you should make efforts to make them even.
Which we did.
Well, it's like agreeing that, we're not going to give any gifts this Christmas. And then someone, buys someone like a $5,000 gift. And you're like, what the hell is that? You're trying to show me up?
That would piss me off, actually. You're right.
You have like 15 groomsmen and 5 bridesmaids. It looks like you're a loser. Right?
Now, there might be people out there planning a wedding and they may have asymmetry.
And there shouldn't be.
And that's okay.
It's not okay.
Okay, so I hemmed and hawed for months about bridesmaids. I really did, because I had 2 main categories, like the friends that I was close with at the time and who I knew cared. That's important.
Yeah.
And then friends who were, friends and sisters who were 100%. 100%. There was no question. If I was having a wedding party, they were going to be in it.
I like the way you acting as if some of your sisters are not 100%. It's like my 100% sisters. The other ones, fuck them.
Okay, so I have 2 sisters. They were both in the for sure pile. And then I had 2 girlfriends that I'd been friends with forever. Yeah. And when I say forever, I mean I moved to New York. So like adult friends.
Time is a big thing. For me, time was the biggest deciding factor. It was like there were some friends I met in college. I could have had them as best, but you know what? I have friends, like a lot of my friends were from when I was like 15 years old. I'm still
sweet.
like good friends with them.
Yeah.
My best friend is 15 years old.
Yeah.
My second, I'm on my like 5. My second best friend is from when I was 20 years old. My third best friend is from when I was 22. My 4th best friend is when I was 14. And I'm 3 years old currently. So none of it makes sense.
No, okay, so yeah, time. And you know what? That did not lead me astray, because I had 2 main columns. And I'm really saying this to the brides to be out there, because I know what you're going through, and I shed tears over this. This was a very stressful experience.
Yeah, but it's the hardest part.
It was really hard because it feels really personal. But when it comes to those 2 categories, I really went with the time one and the ones that were absolute no-brainers, not negotiable. Obviously, if I'm having a wedding party, they're going to be in it category. And then the ones that were like I have been friends with them more recently, / I know they'll really care.
Yeah.
Not to sound like a heartless bitch, but
That's not heartless. It's just pragmatic.
Well, it was really a decision based on history more so than appeasing.
Oh, no. You can appease with the guest list somewhat, but you cannot appease with bridesmaids and groommaids. No one gets appeased.
Groommates?
Groommates and Groupons and brismaids. No one gets appeased.
Yeah.
Nobody. That is absolute calculus. Whoever is a bridesmaid or a groomsman, there has to be history and meaning there. And if someone is offended that they weren't, then they should think about how good a friend they were to you and how meaningful they are. And maybe they should consider not being friends with you anymore.
And I know this is a sensitive topic because we've been on the receiving end of countless questions by now for Q&As and caller episodes and all that. And I know what it looks like to get an email from a female who was like,
An email from a female. That was great.
Thanks. And I know what it looks like to get an email from a female who is like, I'm so hurt. I thought I would be this friend's bridesmaid.
Did you get that?
No, I'm just saying that we've gotten several emails like that where it's the person writing is female and she felt close enough with the bride to feel like she should be a bridesmaid and then wasn't, and then was hurt and debating whether or not to even go to the wedding.
Look, if you got a situation with friends who are going to do that kind of crap, you should just have a lottery. Just be like, I'm having a bridesmaids lottery. It's completely random. These 10 people, because everyone can narrow it down to 10. If you can't narrow it down to 10, you have too many friends. I'm going to say right now, having too many friends is worse than having not enough friends. You don't want too many friends. If you have more than 10 groomsmen or bridesmaids, you don't have that many friends. You're fooling yourself. That's too many friends. Just narrow it down or throw it to a lottery.
I don't want to belittle that experience because I know well what it feels like to feel closer to someone than they feel to you. That was basically my entire high school experience. And a lot of my 20s were coming to terms with my friendships and becoming aware of what I was investing versus what I was receiving. However, I can say this. In retrospect, all these years later, I had 4 bridesmaids, 2 sisters, and 2 friends that at that point I had already been friends with for a decade. I have 0 regrets. The ones that I had been thinking about because I knew they would really care, they would be really into it. At the time I was close with them. Guess what? I'm not as close with them today.
There you go.
And I would have regretted it.
Look, I think your bridesmaids and groomsmen should be people that you are going to die with. Whether you like them or hate them, you're going to be with them.
Yeah.
They're going to be your people till the end.
Yeah.
They could be like brothers. They could be like sisters. You fight, you quarrel. But the point is they're basically family.
You quarrel?
You quarrel. You bicker.
Quarrel. That's such a good word.
Quarrel is an old school word.
That was cute, actually. Anyway, I don't want to sound too harsh with this because I know that for every friend you don't crown bridesmaid, it can really hurt someone's feelings. So I can only speak from my perspective. I don't have any regrets over that. And while 1 or 2 friends at the time might have been a little hurt, guess what? In the long run, I was right.
Yeah.
Does that sound harsh?
No, I feel great about my groomsmen.
You could also argue that maybe we're not as close today because of that. But later, there's another wrench. If the friendship goes sour because you didn't crown them bridesmaid, then there's something.
Yeah, then forget it.
I maintain that. Yeah. And once I decided on that number, which was 4, I pretty much strong-armed you. And then you didn't require any strong-arming.
No,
I was like,
fine.
is there any way you can have 4 groomsmen? And you were like, why, yes, there is. There were 5 friends that you really wanted.
And 1 had to drop out.
Well, yeah, it basically fell in our laps.
Yeah, so it was easy.
Yeah. I'm still happy about that.
No, that worked out well for you.
Yeah, that worked out very nicely. Okay, planning for 400. My fiance is wondering how we can organize our day so we have enough energy for our intimate wedding night. Of course, this is his question, smiley face.
Okay, first of all, you don't have sex on your wedding night. That's absurd. That's only in the movies.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that.
I was worried that Charlene would want to have sex on our wedding night. I was like, oh God, I gotta have sex after this. I was hungover. I was exhausted. I was overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. I wanted nothing to do with any physical activity.
You know what we wanted was snacks.
Snacks and sleep. Thank you. Snacks.
I wanted
and
a mac and cheese. I did not want sex.
Yeah.
As much as I love you.
We were on the same page. The next morning, we woke up and I believe there was some activity.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I remember.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently,
it was great.
Wasn't that meaningful. I put in a good session.
I don't recall, but I believe you.
Some strong wedding sex happening here.
So to the person who asked that question, I guess I would say manage expectations because you're going to be really tired. I know 0 people who had sex on their wedding night.
It's absurd. Who has sex on their wedding night? It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. If you're one of those people who has never had sex in their life and they're waiting till marriage, then yes, you should probably save a little bit of energy for sex that night. Even then, I would still suggest waiting till the morning, but you're gonna be better. You can have more
juices,
more whatever that is.
Okay, planning for 600. Did either of us experience guilt tripping from our parents or families during the planning process?
No, I didn't. I don't think you did.
I mean, I had a little bit of pressure from my dad's side to have the wedding in Ottawa. Not a ton. I feel like when it comes to a wedding, there will always be people who are not thrilled with where you choose to do it, unfortunately. This was a tough decision, but New York has been home for me for a long time. Ottawa's home, but it hasn't been home since I was 18. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say it was guilt tripping, but it was definitely some pressure. And I'm mentioning this, like it would be easier to just skip this question, but I'm mentioning this because I think that a lot of people planning weddings do experience this. For what it's worth, in Ottawa, we did have a wedding party. So I wore white and we had a party hosted at my parents' house, and it was catered.
Everyone happy. Everybody happy.
And Andrea, my sister, who's also a photographer, took photos. So, and we invited the whole family. Basically, a lot of people in Ottawa who would not be invited to the wedding or couldn't make the wedding in New York came to that. Did it appease everyone? No. But honestly, if I'm totally honest, has that haunted me until this moment when I'm answering this question? No.
And I got to say, just covering this overriding theme.
Yeah.
The only 2 people who need to be happy with the wedding are you and your partner. That's it.
Yeah.
100% happy. Look, I'm not saying you should screw everybody.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the people who should be happy without question are the people getting married.
I mean, you have a point. I do think the parents, especially when they're contributing financially, do have a say. And I do think a lot about weddings is about pleasing your parents and just doing it for your parents. Your parents, you know, especially if they're really present parents who love you, they care so much about your wedding day. In some cases, even more than you do. And so there's that to consider. But I agree for the most part. I think that a lot of people get too wrapped up in trying to be people pleasers. And I am the poster child for people pleasing. So I know exactly how those people feel.
Sure.
But I can only speak now in retrospect and say what I regret and what I don't regret. And when it comes to those decisions, I do not regret it. Mm-hmm. Okay, final question under planning. Gift registry. What did we do?
Renovation.
Yeah.
That was smart.
Yeah, I have no regrets over that. So I think there can be some judgment when it comes to gift registries and where you choose to register and all that stuff, which I really hate because that's really up to the couple. But in our case, we had been really wanting to renovate our kitchen and bathrooms for years. And we did have money set aside for that. And that money went to the wedding. Mm-hmm. And so for our registry, we thought it would be fun to do a sort of honey fund that was like renovation items. So like you could get us like a stove, or you could contribute toward, you wouldn't get us a stove. You would get us like 1/10 of a stove or get us 1/10 of a fridge and stuff like that. Or like pots and pans, and it was really just like a dollar value, but it was like what it represented. And it wasn't to a particular place. It was through some site. I forget which. But it was the best ever use of our gifts. It really was. It all went to one place. And when it came time finally to renovate, which by the way didn't happen at least for another year, because we continued to save for it, we had this little nest egg.
It was a renovation egg. It was brilliant.
Yeah. Okay. Finally, Andy, let's plow through these last few. Afterwards and in retrospect, this is a quick one. Did we have a honeymoon?
No.
We did not. We were too overwhelmed. I was super overwhelmed. Also, worth mentioning, for my career, I travel a lot.
Yeah.
And this was pre-pandemic, obviously, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to go anywhere.
Yeah, we're constantly having honeymoons, maybe like sweet and low moons, not full honey, just
Yeah.
moons.
We never really had a formal honeymoon. Did we miss it?
No,
Not really. Okay. What was the thing guests complimented on the most?
Food
I was going to say vows.
and vows.
Those two.
Yeah.
Hands down. Okay. What's something you wish you'd had on hand at your wedding? In my case, double-sided tape and blister pads. Really glam.
Oh, I'll tell you what I wish I had was the wherewithal to eat my dinner,
Yeah.
whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I'd eaten something.
Okay. And if you could redo your wedding, would you do it exactly the same way?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, of course there's like, oh, I wish I hadn't invited her. I wish I had invited her or him or her, whatever. There's always that sense of like, I met that person 6 months after our wedding and we're so close now. But
The only
that's
thing,
just time, you know?
the only thing we would have done is add the extra hour at the end of the night.
Yeah, that's
But we
true.
talked about that.
We
already.
talked about that in part one. If you saw part one, we really wish
Yeah.
we had actually a
it.
lot. I don't want to answer this one. We already answered this. What we would have done differently, but we really, really wish that we had bought that extra hour.
I wish I hadn't splurged on the late night bites, and I wish I had bought an extra hour.
I agree. We splurged on extra bites at midnight,
it's not- don't
which
say
everyone
that.
was stuffed. No one needed more food.
No one needs that. It's a
and
waste.
everyone did want to dance for another hour.
Yep.
And finally, Andy, last question in our wedding Q&A. In retrospect for 1000, which anniversary do you celebrate if you had multiple weddings?
First of all, I've already lost Jeopardy, so this game is over. The anniversary that I celebrate, without a doubt, and there's only one, is the night I met you.
Oh, it's true.
That's it. That's
It's
the only
true.
one that counts.
We don't celebrate our city hall. We don't celebrate our wedding. The only day that we're really like, oh, let's go get dinner. This is a really special day is the anniversary of the night we met. Because we
Yes.
truly consider that to be the day that changed our lives.
Mm-hmm.
A wedding is just a wedding. It's an
It's
arbitrary
just-
date we chose based on other people's availability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I 100% agree. And I've actually, every year on September 8th, well, that is our wedding day, right?
Yeah.
September 8th.
September 7th. Wait, no, you're right. September 8th.
Unbelievable. Case in point, every year on September 8th, I'm like, hey, you know what day it is?
Yeah. I mean, no.
This is actually a real reaction. This is how
happens
it
every
actually
year.
looks.
I'm not good with anniversaries.
She has yet to remember our wedding anniversary a single year. And I have reminded every single year because I have it in my calendar. It's very easy in iCal. You just have wedding anniversary. So every year it comes along. I'm like, but it is also a beautiful thing. I can't complain because I never have to do anything on our wedding anniversary. But every year I say, do you know what today is? And the answer is absolutely not. No clue. Zero clue.
But I do remember March 29th, the day we met. I think that's a nice place to wrap. That's the
agree.
day. That's the day.
That's the only day that counts.
Yeah, in my opinion. Again, I feel like the theme of this is to each their own.
Mm-hmm.
Judge not.
Yeah. Have whatever wedding you want, wherever, however, with whoever.
And if you want to celebrate your city hall and your wedding and the day you met and your first date and the first time you had sex, do you?
Yes. And add an enormous amount of stress to your already busy and stressful lives.
Okay, Andy, I think that's a good place to wrap.
Mm-hmm.
I always like walking down memory lane. It does feel self-indulgent, but you guys asked for it, and so we're protected by that.
Yes. Our shame is washed away
Yes, completely.
by your complicity.
All right, if you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we will ask of you, and that is to
Like,
subscribe,
tell your friends,
hit the notification bell,
follow us on Instagram,
leave us Apple and Spotify podcast ratings and reviews.
and also follow us on TikTok. So it's hard for me to say that.
And generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast you enjoy. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye.
Dear Shandy.